Okay, so it is the Real Talk Tag. This was originally created by Alyssa from the channel Books with Alyssa J. And so because this is me doing the tag, I'm going to start with the last question and move backwards because it seems to tell a better story. So the last question is, do you think Booktube is dying? Now, Booktube started out with those people reading YA, and they really managed to carve out a niche for Booktube, which has been fantastic, and so many of us have joined since, and we pushed at the boundaries of what Booktube is to incorporate other genres like horror, literary fiction, thriller, weird fiction, and the rest of it. And so, in that sense, Booktube is growing and growing every day. It's doing well. But at the same time, those booktubers that started with YA are barreling towards 30. And no shade to YA here. It's a wonderful diversion while you're still in high school or even in academia. But then you push out into the real world, get a job, have other commitments and responsibilities, and your opinions on the latest Cassandra Clare seem to matter less and maybe don't jibe with the career aspirations that you have. You may even find that you have less time to even read. And so for the big guns in Booktube, they're starting to wonder what their channel represents and what they're going to do. And so some have transitioned to AuthorTube, maybe incorporate some more movie reviews, just trying different things, holding on to their subscriber base, but trying something different than the YA genre that got them there, which arguably could be a pretty harrowing experience. Now, I don't really follow a lot of YA Booktube, so maybe there is another generation coming in. But as far as I can tell, those Booktubers with 200,000 subscribers and more have been around and have been at it for a long time, which means there isn't this sort of group of Booktubers that are coming in to fill in behind them. If publishers think that Booktube helps them move product, they're going to have to start investing in the ecosystem and trying things. And arguably they have with Michelle Obama, with varying levels of success, as I talked about in my last video, but they can get creative. They can make investments into the system if it does help them move their product. And I hope they do that, and so that Booktube can flourish with this new generation. Which leads to the next question. What do you think about sponsorships and working with publishers? And I say, get some. Completely whore yourself out for a sponsor. Shill for someone else's corporate interest. Be the dancing monkey to some moneyed fat cat pulling the strings. Just get you some. If you can prove that you drive the needle as far as sales, if you can show that there's a positive ROI in investing in you, then I say, great, get some. I mean, this just validates the Booktube ecosystem. It provides the opportunity for others to do new and interesting things, and it brings more people to the platform. It's sort of a rising tide raises all ships sort of thing. And just know that there'll be no shortage of Booktubers with their knives drawn, fully ready to poo-poo your meretricious ways, your willingness to sell out, the sanctity of critical reviews, and your sullying of that by selling yourself off to the highest bidder. There'll be subtweets and angry comments and hand-wringing think pieces about bookish payola, but who cares? Just bring those people in. We love us some drama here on Booktube. Even that drives numbers. So yeah, get on that and bring those people here onto Booktube. What is a common mistake that you see other Booktubers make? Well, the mistake is thinking that any of this matters. I mean, sure, consider your audio and your lighting, but frankly, I've seen some great stuff with people armed with a smartphone in a quiet room. I mean, the mistake is thinking that there are mistakes to be made. We're a bunch of kindergartners here, finger painting, looking to each other for advice. I mean, well, Brooklyn, I think you're confusing the nature of art as a question of morphology versus function, and you should fully embrace the idea of purple people. I mean, none of us know what the hell we're doing here anyway, so if you're going to carry that paint metaphor further, there are no mistakes here, only happy accidents. And so you do you. Fail wildly, embrace the unknown, and just keep on trying, show your work, but if there's one thing I can say, don't be the person that shills their channel in the comments. Just not cool. But then how do I get subscribers? Well, this leads to the next question. What have you done to grow your subscriber or your audience? And I know, I get it. It's hard. How do you get the word out? Well, just be active in the community and understand that you may never get those views or subscribers that you hope for. A lot of us are just cheerleaders in the community, and that may be what you're destined for. And it can be frustrating when you see some of these other Booktubers coming in late to the game and just popping, hitting those number counts that you're only hoping for. But for the most of us, it's a lot of hard work sustained over long periods of time and that flash of luck. Maybe a big booktuber notices you. Maybe you've got your finger on the pulse of the zeitgeist with your steaming hot take, or it's just completely random. But don't listen to me. I've got less than 8,000 subscribers. I'm essentially a rounding error. If you want more subscribers, get out of Booktube. What's an assumption that you had about Booktube before joining? Well, I've been in Booktube for a while. Feels like I've been soaking in it for a long time, so I've forgotten a lot of the assumptions I may have had going in. I assume that I thought it was a quiet and safe place for middle-aged tryhard like myself to upload a horribly self-conscious first attempt online without feeling too awkward and self-conscious. And if anything, I think maybe I thought Booktube skewed a little older, because I know for the first little while it was hard not to feel more than a little creepy. It felt like I was that old guy hunched over his french fries in a trench coat in the mall food court. I mean, clearly this person is up to no good. But at least the Booktube is proven to be a little less Abercrombie and Fitch with books, and is slowly becoming a little bit more diverse than that. What are your opinions on typical Booktube videos, hauls, TBRs, wrap-ups? Well, wrap-ups make sense, I guess. Talking about the books that you read in the last quarter and the last month, and sometimes you're reading books and they don't warrant a full video discussion. It's just like, yeah, I liked it. It was pretty good. Or conversely, nah, it wasn't for me. Those seem to make sense. But TBRs and hauls? Well, TBRs and hauls are just bullshit. I mean, you randomly reading a selection of dust jackets to me? Like I'm some blind agoraphobe? I don't really understand it. I mean, but maybe it's just because TBRs are just personally triggering for me. If I own a book, I want to have read it. I get the heebies thinking about books piling up that I haven't read. And it doesn't make any sense to me seeing someone else grab a bunch of books that they may or may not read. It just, in this day and age where I can just walk out the front door, hit any number of bookstores, used bookstores, the library, and then with ebooks and Libby, most books are just simply a swipe away. I don't feel the need to go out and buy a whole handful of books just to line my shelves so that I can forget about them. I've moved enough times and books are heavy. I want the books I have to be ones I've read. And I think a lot of it is this idea for me personally about how decadent books can be. And now everyone is not in a position to really enjoy reading. It is a modest luxury, of course, but at the same time, even the idea of reading is somewhat of a privilege. This ability to sit down and just occupy yourself with nothing other than a book, not having to worry about your job or taking care of the kids or paying the bills or any number of other things. And then you have these 24-hour read-alongs where are just so decadent, where you just sit back and read, light candles and sip tea. That is a rare privilege. Yeah, maybe it's just this middle-aged dad thing where I think I swing into nonfiction and I'll find myself reading only World War II biographies, woodworking manuals, and popular mechanics. There are so many books out there as it is. It's just hard enough for me to narrow down what I'm going to read next. I don't need this excessive choice. And so, yeah, they don't do it for me. But if you like doing them, then keep on doing them. What is something nobody told you about Booktube before starting? Don't do Booktube the way Booktube is being done. I mean, fine. If you're an enthusiastic teen or an emphatic 20-something ready to squee about YA, great. But know that there is a cap to your popularity, that there is a ceiling on your channel's success. This is Booktube. And now fine, for many of you, you're just happy to have bookish discussions and meet people and don't care if you have 5 or 500 subscribers, and that's great. But for the rest of you, be honest with yourself, because you will find yourself in 2 years with your subscribers having plateaued and finding yourself making excuses over shooting the next video, and suddenly a month has gone by and then another month, and then you start considering on ghosting on your subscribers, thinking that you have to worry about work or other commitments. You have to understand what it is you're going to and are willing to sacrifice to stay here, to keep this thing going, despite your numbers. And to be honest about that, because really, there is a cap to how big you can possibly get here on Booktube. And you have to be okay with that. But at the same time, give yourself permission to pull the chute at any time without feeling guilty. You do you. But gosh, if you're going to come in this late in the game, come in armed with something a little bit different. Fine. Maybe get a few of these booktube videos under your belt doing what everybody else does. But can you at least try and break the system and try something different? So that was the Booktube Real Talk Tag. Nice and easy. On to tagging some other people. I'd love to see the boys at Strip Cover Lit tackle this, as well as Justin from Ghost Reader, Read with Cindy, and fellow Canadian Lala with Books and Lala. There you have it. So, Booktube Real Talk Tag. Thanks a lot for joining in and watching till the end. Until next time, I hope you all have a great week of reading, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.